It's showtime.
Hey, welcome to Did You Watch Survivor Last Night? My name's Jake Scheidel. This is a podcast about reality television and friendship in which I ask my best friend Thomas Powell if he did indeed watch a certain reality show. Hey, Thomas, how you doing today?
Jake, I am doing all right. This was supposed to be a live record where we would be in the same room together as I visited you this weekend, but my body betrayed me and I had to leave a little early, so now we're recording like we normally do, which is good for the listeners because the audio quality is usually bad when we record in the same room.
We both use better microphones when we are recording solo. Granted, when we record in the same room, it's a lot easier to edit, so that's why I like it, but it also sounds demonstrably worse.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta have two mics. Two mics with local audio.
Yeah. I was listening back to episode 100 of this show, because that's one of the episodes we picked through our own episode titles. I think we've both gotten better microphones since that episode, because it sounds so much better now. Or I just got better at editing the show.
I think it's probably that, because I've been using the same mic since... I think the first, dozen or so episodes, or maybe a little bit more than that, I was using a Rock Band USB microphone.
Oh, the days.
Yeah. But I've been using the same mic for a while now. I think part
maybe
of it
I got a new mic then.
Yeah, I think I have a better idea of how to use it, too, at this point.
Yeah. Look, we're kind of podcast veterans when it comes to the Survivor game. We have been doing this since Cambodia, Second Chance. That's season 31. This is season 38. Jesus Christ, you guys. So that brings me to my question for you, Thomas. Did you watch Survivor Edge of Extinction last night?
Just like the wide-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh.
I did.
I know the answer. I know the answer is yes because I watched it with you.
Yeah, I watched
Chicago,
it yesterday afternoon with you before I left.
Yes.
Which was very fun.
We went to the cozy corner.
Yeah,
Thomas came back from the bathroom and said, "I'm not feeling well. I should probably go home."
Yep. I felt really bad too because there was midway through that part of that day, when we were just walking around, I was like, "Oh, I might be feeling okay," and then that was the point where I was like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah. So listener, we went to a Pistons game on Friday night, and then we hung out Saturday, and then Thomas's body was like, "Just kidding," so he went home. But when we went to breakfast on Saturday afternoon, brunch, I guess.
Yeah.
Thomas, I ordered a coffee when the server came up to our table, and Thomas ordered a cranberry juice, and I was like, "Why the fuck did you order cranberry juice?" And then he comes back from the bathroom and is like, "Yeah, I'm not feeling so well."
Yep.
It's like, oh, the cranberry juice makes a lot more sense now.
Yep. Yeah, it was I could not do coffee. Thankfully, listeners, I'm feeling a bit better today. So
that's good.
Things
feeling better. Podcast is sounding better.
Feeling good in the neighborhood.
What a great show. Mr. Rogers?
Something like that. Also, I did get to experience something that I had never heard in real life and is just as annoying as you would think, which is someone doing the clap emoji tweet format while talking in real life.
Oh, and yeah, that's what those tweets are parodying.
And not joking, but people don't really do that much.
I mean, it depends. Are these people on a reality show? Because on reality shows, they do it a lot.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it.
It's bad. It's very annoying. Was that in Chicago, or was that on your train back?
No, that was when we were at that pizza place, when we were squeezed in between two other groups of people. It was one of those places where they, if you're seating for two, you're squeezed in right next to other groups.
It's basically a community table broken up into 10 tables.
Yeah, so we were sort of in between two incredible normies who were talking about how what documentaries they had seen and I'm
not going at all in depth about these documentaries.
Yeah, it was just did you see the Mr. Rogers documentary? It was so good, and I cried, but it was a good cry. It's okay, that literally is everything that I've ever heard about that. It was someone had aggregated. There's an algorithm that had created the response based on every other response I've ever heard about that documentary, and then it was one of them was did you listen to Radiolab this week? And the other one was Oh my god, I was just about to ask you if you'd listened to Radiolab this week. It was like, do I come off this way in public?
Right.
Like, are Jake and I an archetype that people are like, I cannot believe that this exists in real life? And then to the left of us,
100%, yes.
There were two girls talking about, like, it was like seemed like two very nice lesbians that were talking about, like, how one of them had a crush on another girl, but then...
I don't... based on their conversation, I don't think they were lesbians. Because they didn't seem like they were on a date with each other. I don't know.
No, they weren't. I'm saying I didn't. They weren't together. But one of them was talking to the other one about how she had a crush on a girl, and how she needed to ask her out. And that was when the clapping came into play, because it was like, this beautiful girl is single. You have to ask her out, and it went like that for like a good,
I think
5 minutes.
I think she said "fine ass woman" a lot.
Yeah.
Which is like, even once is a bit much.
Yeah, it was like, look, this is nice otherwise, but you gotta stop this. Like, you are around other people.
Yeah.
People have to watch this.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. But you know what? They seemed like they were having a good time.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck us. You know, they were probably having a better time than we were. That was also a bar where
the whole time we were at that pizza place, we just talked shit about Scary Movie 2, which was playing
because
on the
they were
wall.
playing Scary Movie 2 with no sound on the wall. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever encountered.
Yeah, so I'm sure that either of those two parties like heard our conversation and they're like, who do these people think they are? Do they think
How
this
are they
is a bad
still
movie
talking
podcast?
about Scary Movie 2? They've been talking about Scary Movie 2 for 10 minutes.
That's generously low.
Yeah.
We watched like a full hour of that movie, I think.
With no sound. And I was like, oh yeah,
no
I
sound.
remember this part of the movie. Oh yeah, David Cross is in this.
There's a scene where 3 different characters vomit on each other for like 5 straight minutes.
What a loaded cast for a terrible movie. Like, Andy Richter has a bit part in it. David Cross is in it. Natasha Lyonne is in it for like a minute.
Anna Faris is in it. She's great.
Anna Faris, good as usual.
The only reason that anybody has anything good to say about the Scary Movie franchise is Anna Faris was in it. Anyway, this episode of Survivor was called Betrayals Are Going to Get Exposed. What did you think of that episode title, Thomas?
I think it was a better episode than that suggested. Like, I thought that was... It's one of those ones that's, like, not a clever title.
It seems way too early in the game for a title like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing else came out as like a good episode title. I don't remember anybody saying anything that could have been a better one. So,
which is weird because it was a very good episode.
We both said at the end of watching it yesterday, this season's been a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, it's been solid so far.
Yeah, solid as a rock that you might find on the edge of extinction. Please clap for that very beautiful segue.
Solid as a rock.
That you would find on Edge of Extinction. Surprising no one, Keith did end up going. Remember, that was some tension at the end of the last episode. He's excited to see Reem, and she now feels responsible for him. They find a map that shows stairs to the on the island. At the top of the stairs is a day's worth of rice. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, they really made them work to get that rice too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do this twist again, you might as well make it really fucking difficult.
And they've got to do it every day.
Not like it. Yeah, every single day. I don't think we're gonna be seeing that every day, but maybe. I don't know. Okay, then we go straight into the reward challenge. They have to build a wheelbarrow, collect some sandbags, and then build a slingshot out of the wheelbarrow, I think. And then knock down some targets. Yeah,
they had to, the wheelbarrow, when you disassemble it, like, you can slot it into a spot in the ground, and it's got the slingshot part of it is in the middle of the frame of the wheelbarrow. I thought that was really neat, actually.
I thought that was a very
for
clever
a challenge
idea,
that is, like, the exact same framework for every single fucking challenge like this that they do at the beginning of the game. It was at least unique in some way.
Yeah, I liked... don't know. I like that. I like having to find multiple uses for a single object in the challenge. It's thought provoking, is what it is.
Really makes you think.
I am stalling because I am texting my mom to see what her thoughts on the episode were. I meant to do that before we started recording. Thoughts on Survivor. Recording now. That's a good text to my mom. My dad has his red receipts on. Just saying. My mom does not, which I find surprising because my dad... You have your red receipts on too. What the fuck? Hey, Thomas, why do you have your red receipts on?
I don't know, man. I thought I turned them off.
Well, whatever. So this challenge was good. Hey, how old were you when you realized it was wheelbarrow and not wheelbarrel?
I realized that a long time ago.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. It wasn't when I was doing these notes and I got a little red line when I typed wheelbarrow. That definitely didn't happen. Anyway, they get to choose.
Of course not.
They get to choose between chickens or comfort. Manchester United wins and takes the chickens. Over on Manchester United, Wendy has injured her ankle at the challenge, and also she wants to release the chickens. Big episode for Big Wendy. I'm calling her Big Wendy because I think that's her Twitter name. Is that a weird
Big
name?
Wendy.
I don't know why her name on Twitter is Big Wendy. I don't think she's a particularly big person.
No, she's not. She's got a big personality, I guess.
Oh, sure. That makes sense. I like it. I like Wendy. I think she's very fun to watch.
No, she's been very entertaining. She was easily the most entertaining part of this episode.
She's like Jatia in Kagayan, but like nice.
She is very nice, but she's like surprisingly devious, and she's actually very good at manipulating people.
Yeah, I think later in the episode, David calls her the best smokescreen he's ever had. I think
David working with her is very smart.
Yes, I think I could see the two of them working together for a long time, and I could also see Wendy turning on him before he realizes she's going to. I think he is underestimating her.
I could see that. I don't know. David is he's playing a very good game, which is not surprising because he played a very good game his first time around, but he's coming in more comfortable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was worried he was going to go out really early, and I think he might go the distance.
Yeah. Which
is why I picked him in the first round. And not someone else.
Well, I know that you're a big fan of him from Millennials versus Gen X, and you also love... Who were our favorites on that season? Oh, Jessica, Lewis. And then of course,
Zeke.
Our friend back home, Tails and Jay.
Yeah, Zeke.
Oh, and Michaela. Let's just run through the cast of Millennials versus Gen X again and say how good everyone is.
It was a good cast.
It's a very good cast. There were like a couple duds, but they got
It was
out
one
early,
of
so.
the nice thing about that one is the duds went out very early.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Over on Kicking a Man's Ass, Victoria targets Aubrey, Joe, and Aurora. Hey, do you think we're the only Survivor podcast calling this team Kicking a Man's Ass?
I mean, maybe.
It's entirely possible.
I know that someone that doesn't do a Survivor thing referred to it as that, but I think that's about the only other intersection of Survivor and wrestling you're going to get, so I think we got this locked down.
We are the greatest Survivor / wrestling podcast.
Yeah, / Lost podcast.
/ Lost podcast.
The Challenge / movies that The Miz has been in podcast.
Okay, my mom.
Oh,
just
also,
texted me
Jake, because
Yeah.
it's coming out soon. I know I had mentioned it on not the documentary, but I had mentioned Theranos on our Fire Festival episode.
Yeah,
HBO is doing a Theranos documentary, which
they are.
If
Okay.
if we have a break at some point, I think that would be a very good one to do an episode on.
Yes, there's also supposedly a podcast that has recently done a season, or is about to come out, about that whole story.
Yeah, which makes
And
sense.
they go
A
into
podcast
detail.
is actually a really good way to cover that, just because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of that podcast. I heard it suggested on another podcast. So if you can figure out that podcast, they'll recommend another podcast. It's a never-ending train. Oh god, this scene was so good. Victoria is talking to Ron about the plan to take out Aubrey Joe or Aurora, and Joe is crouched down behind her like 5 feet away.
The camera work here, the reveal was excellent.
Fantastic.
There's I was just watching the show The Thick of It, which is by the creator of the original show, by the creator of Veep and like Death of Stalin. Armando Iannucci.
Yeah.
That's just about like British politics. That's the show that Peter Capaldi was on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I remember this show.
And his character, there's a scene in that where there's a similar thing where two guys are talking about something related to him, and he just appears behind them. And one goes, "Malcolm, how do you do that?" And this was exactly like that. It was just like Joe teleported behind them.
Yeah. That was... I don't know who directed that scene, but they did a very good job.
That scene was written and directed by Armando Iannucci.
I wouldn't be surprised. Aubrey goes looking for an idol and finally finds one after looking for 3 straight seasons. I guess not 3 straight seasons. There have been other seasons. 3 of her straight seasons. Anyway, good for Aubrey. That's very exciting. So now, the only 2 people in the game who have idols are women, which is a big deal because did you know that only 17% of idols are found by women?
That's crazy. Well, 100% in this game.
100% in this game. You miss 100% of the idols you don't find. Anybody ever tell you that?
Yeah, something like that. I do wonder, the dynamic there, I do wonder, like, I think there is, like, I think there is, like, an unfair gender dynamic there where, like, if you're a woman and you immediately start looking for idols, I feel like people notice that more than with men.
Well, yeah, contestants have talked about that a lot, whereas, like, the women will often stay at camp and, like, do stuff taking care of, like, camp, and then the men will, like, go get wood and, like, go do jobs and, like, duties that require them to leave camp, and that's generally where idols are. So
yeah, that too,
just...
or women, it's like I have to cultivate my social relationships early, and men are like, I'm gonna go look for the idol immediately with no consequences.
Yeah, and that's why strong social players are so hard to edit. Like you saw it with Kara last season, and Michelle and Ko-Rong. It's like, if you got a strong social game, that's great, but it's way more exciting to watch somebody find an idol. So they're going to do that more often because it's easier to do. Anyway, this season's been good. I think that's the conclusion to this conversation. Okay, back over on Manchester United. War Dog and Wendy argue about eating meat.
Oh, yes.
At one
of the dumbest arguments from both sides that I've ever heard.
It was fantastic television.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved when War Dog says, back at home she eats chicken, pork, meat.
My favorite part of it was the fact that he's like, all right, well, she's going to go vegetarian now. Whatever, I respect that. But if I ever find out that she ate a single piece of meat, she's dead to me.
What a
it's
did
just powerful dumb guy energy there.
Yeah. He's got real BDE, big dummy energy.
Yep.
So once again, Wentworth targets Wendy. Why not? It's an episode of this season. Okay, then we get into the immunity challenge. 4 people are tied to the front of a boat and then drag the other 3 in the boat. It's very good. The rest of the challenge doesn't matter. I loved watching these people drag a boat with only their bodies and swimming
it was
abilities.
Great.
What a great idea.
This is the kind of stuff that you want from Survivor.
2 very good challenges on this season of Survivor, or this episode of Survivor so far. I loved it. Then some other shit happens in the challenge and it doesn't matter. Camo wins. Excuse me. Kicking a man's ass continues to kick men's asses. David says he trusts his survivor instincts, and his survivor instincts are telling him to take out Wentworth. This is going to be a common trend this season, I think.
Gonna take out Wentworth Miller, which is what every single time that I see them just call her Wentworth, that is what I think of.
She and Wentworth
How are they going to
Miller,
take him out? He's too busy playing Captain Cold on the CW's The Flash.
Okay, here, let's talk about CW superheroes for a second. There's a guy on the CW, like, DC Universe, one of those shows. I don't know which show, but he's, like, the lead guy. And then in a different CW DC show, he's a different character, like, that still exists in the same universe. Oh, it's Arrow, I think. The guy who plays Arrow.
Oh, interesting.
He plays a different character, I think. I don't watch any of these shows, so maybe they are the same character. But I think he plays two different characters within the same universe on two different shows.
That's like Chris Evans being Captain America and the Human Torch.
It's the exact same.
It's the exact same thing.
It's interesting that both Human Torches ended up in the MCU eventually.
Yeah. That
But
is
on
certainly
opposite
an interesting thing.
Chris Evans, he's the good guy. Michael B. Jordan, he's the bad guy. Yeah, right, like Michael B. Jordan could never be a bad guy. I just want to squeeze his little cheeks.
Yeah, he's never been a bad guy in a movie.
I'm still mad at him for breaking up with what's her name on Parenthood.
How dare he?
You really hurt her, sir.
He broke
but
up
then
with
she went to
Hattie.
college. Hattie, that was her name. I was gonna say that, and it sounded wrong, so I avoided it. But it's good because she went to college and discovered that she was bi, which is cool. So good for her. That show still exists, right? And that's why I'm talking about it so much.
They're all still out there.
Dax Shepard's doing his podcast now.
Yeah, Sarah Braverman is writing another dumb play.
Oh, I totally forgot that was her
Remember
thing.
that arc where they told you that she was they tried to make you like the most annoying character on the show by being like, she's so talented, and then never showing you like 10 seconds of a play that she wrote and just having like Richard Dreyfuss be like, you're one of the most talented writers I've ever worked with.
Sure, definitely.
It's like, yeah, definitely.
I can definitely see Crosby also hosting a podcast from his garage attic.
Sure,
like that
yeah.
seems something that is very in character for him, and also Dax Shepard. So, and the other people on that show. What's Peter Cross been up to?
He's on a show about like emergency services or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Back over on Manchester United, Wendy assumes that she's going home, and she still doesn't want the tribe to kill the chickens. So she steals the flint and then denies that she took it when she is confronted about it. Wendy is good. I love Wendy. That's all I have to say about that. Did you enjoy the flint theft,
Yes.
Thomas?
It was great.
It's very good.
It was great because they were like, surely no one would steal the flint, and then they immediately cut to her being like, I stole it!
I stole the flint. She's so proud of herself. I love it.
I mean, she
easily my
rocked that
favorite person
too.
this year.
She completely, like, there was a minute of suspicion that she had done it from them, but she was able to just sort of power through it.
I think that speaks more to David's game than hers, though. I think David probably knew she took the flint, but wanted to believe that she didn't. So when she was like, "Wasn't me," he was like, "All right, sounds good."
Yeah,
and
he didn't really press her on it because he was like, "Oh, I can use this."
Yeah, he's generally trusted by the rest of the tribe. So if he comes back and is like, "She didn't steal it," they're gonna trust him more than they're gonna trust her. It was a good move for him. David's playing a good game, as we've already established. Rick and David ask her if she did not. And then they talk about taking out Wentworth Miller. Then David talks to Chris about taking out Wentworth Miller, but Chris is worried about burning bridges with War Dog. So he talks to War Dog about it, and now War Dog is targeting Chris because he is closer to Wentworth Miller. Which is stupid, right?
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
So then War Dog goes up to Rick and asks if he would be willing to take out Chris. What a great series of events. It really worked out in their favor. It's good. Thomas, you know what it's time for?
Is it time for wildlife shots?
You know it. Okay. We got a snake, as per usual. We got a bird. Got a black-tip reef shark.
Get a snake. You already know what it is.
Yep. We also, I think, I might be wrong, because I don't know anything about animals. I don't have a zoology fucking certificate.
Yeah, whatever that's called. Who gives a shit? Fuck
It's
zoos.
not important. Degree. I don't have a zoology degree. It's fine. Anyway, there's the sperm whale. There's something that looks like it. So I researched sperm whales. They can be found around the world. The females live in groups and cooperate to take care of the youth. Males can reach 52 to 67 feet in length. A third of that size being their head.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fucking big ass head.
Yeah, they have the world's largest brain and can live for more than 70 years. Sperm whale is named after the fluid found in their head, which is called spermaceti. It is not named after cum, which I think is everyone's expectation.
So what you're telling me is that sperm whales have a bunch of cum in their heads, and that's why they're called that.
They're filled with cum. Their heads are filled with cum. They raise an octopus and squid, including the giant and colossal squid.
Damn. Giving dumb brain to that squid.
These sexually mature females give birth every 4 to 20 years.
Oh, all right.
I
know what those numbers mean.
I put that in specifically for those numbers. If it had been like every 6 to 19 years, I'd be like, who gives a shit? But the fact that it's every 420 years, it's pretty funny.
What if there was?
Pretty
What
funny
if there
whales.
in a remake of Lost, the numbers were like 4, 20, 69, 69?
I'm definitely going to do that. I tweeted recently that I was going to reboot Lost in 10 to 15 years, and I'm absolutely going to do that. 4, 8, 15, 16, 20. and then Hurley, the new Hurley, just kind of giggles to himself and walks off, and that's the end of the episode. It's a great show. Damon Lindelof, call me. Birth is a social event because the mother and her newborn need protection from predators. Unlike orcas, sperm whales within a social unit show no significant tendency to associate with their genetic relatives. Cool. I didn't know what that note was going to be when I started it. Orcas are fucked up. Orcas are dumb, is what I've learned. Because they don't have those big brains like the sperm whale.
Fucking stupid animals.
I hate
Not
them.
cool. Not cool like the sperm whales.
The only cool sperm whale is all of them. The only cool orca is Free Willy.
Wow, you're really hating on Shamu there.
Shamu. Is Shamu not Free Willy?
No. Different orcas. I'm sorry that you think that they all look the same.
Racist. Sorry, I'm racist.
I'm sorry
to
that you're
aquatic
doing
animals.
race science against whales too by talking about like their brain size.
Look, they have the world's biggest brains. What do you expect?
Orcas have a spot in their brain. They have a crime lobe that that makes them belligerent.
That's why they kill. That's why they're called killer whales, because they're the bad guys of the ocean.
What if I was like one of those like pit bulls? There are no bad pit bulls, only bad owners things, but for orcas.
Yeah, I think PETA would hire you.
One of those people. Like they're actually the nicest whales.
Females and calves spend about 3/4 of their time foraging and 1/4 of their time socializing. Socializing usually takes place in the afternoon.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, they are considered vulnerable by the IUCN. So that's sad. Save the sperm
that's
whales.
bad. Come on, don't do. Whales should not be vulnerable. There should be 100 million of them. They're all good. They're one of the best animals.
Whales are
Don't
very
hurt-
good,
hurt
especially
them.
the super smart ones. Sperm
Yeah.
whales, smartest whales. Brain size doesn't influence intelligence, does it? I asked
No.
with a very small brain.
I mean, if you've got like a very tiny brain, I think you probably have limited
Like a
functions. Yeah, or like a like a bug or something like
Yeah.
that. Where you just have limited activity. But yeah, like an animal having a giant brain does not mean that it's a more sophisticated brain.
I have a very large head, which I think implies I have a very large brain, and I'm very stupid, so I don't think there's any science to that.
You heard it here, folks, from the man himself.
I'm a dumb guy. Okay, let's talk about this tribal council. Wendy is amazing. Wendy claims she wasn't going to go crazy and cause chaos because you ate a chicken, which is very funny because she definitely did do that at the idea of eating a chicken.
Yep, and will continue to do it.
Yes. War Dog compares Wendy to himself, and somebody calls her War Pup, and then War Dog is like, yep, War Pup.
I don't like this. She's nothing like him.
Yeah. Wendy will place higher than War Dog in this game. I guarantee that. Because she's taken first place.
Wendy needs to also get a Brooklyn Nets tattoo.
Oh, that would be perfect. Lyrissa got a tattoo that was like featured on the reunion. Not really featured. It was just like in the shot when they were talking to somebody else. But she talked about it a lot. It's a very cool tattoo, and I expect Wendy to do the same thing with the Brooklyn Nets tattoo. Okay, where were we? David says tonight's goal is to get out the biggest social threat. Kelly is thrown by that comment, but David reassures her that she has nothing to worry about. Rick says he hopes that they can turn this losing streak into an advantage since they're having to play the game more than kicking a man's ass is having to, which is what you said when we were watching the episode. You said that
It's
before
true.
Rick, though.
Yeah, if you've been in tribals a lot, you at least have experience there. Whereas if you win every challenge, you know.
I mean,
you're
get to the
coming
merge
in-
more easily, but
Yeah, you do. Like it's, I would probably still prefer to do that because it guarantees that you get to the merge. But like, your game's a little underdeveloped.
yeah. I can't wait to see Joe go out first boot of the merge. The votes are for Wentworth Miller, Chris, Wentworth Miller, Chris. Wentworth Miller, still in this prison called life for another 3 days.
Aren't we all?
Do
If
you
you
want?
really think about it.
Do you want to hear my mom's thoughts
I would love to hear.
on this episode?
I would love to hear Mary's thoughts.
Ooh, should our intro song to this be that Bruce Springsteen song?
No, we don't need to have
Mary's Place?
We don't need to have a music segment for this.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. I texted her, thoughts on Survivor recording now, and she said, I watched it, but can't remember who got voted out. Refresh my memory. So I said, Chris, and then she said, not very memorable.
No, he really wasn't.
And then she followed that up with, they need to get rid of War Dog. So
Correct.
I think we are all on the same page with War Dog. Yeah. He has orchestrated the last 2 votes, though.
Yeah, he's not playing like badly. I just don't particularly care for him.
Yeah. All right, Thomas. Let's talk about these points we won.
Sure.
You got a point for Kelly surviving, for Joe surviving, a point for Keith going to Extinction, and a point for Chris going to Extinction. So you are at 14 points now. I got a point for David surviving, for Aubrey surviving. Got a point for kicking a man's ass, winning immunity. A point for Wentworth. No, a point for Keith going to Extinction, and a point for Chris going to Extinction. So I'm at 17 points now. Just saying.
That's a good amount.
Thank you.
What am I at again?
14.
Okay, so not a, I could close that gap, but it's not going to be
You
easy.
could, but so far it is expanding. It is getting wider as the weeks go on. By the end of this, you might lose by 11 points.
That's entirely possible. Man, I'm still bummed. The Pistons game that we went to, they were down by like 21 points, and I kept being like, jokingly like, no, they're going to come back, and they're going to lose by 11 points.
Yeah.
And then they actually did come back, like more than that, and so I kept joking like, oh no, they're still going to lose by 11 points. And now, honestly, I'm kind of mad that they won the game and that they didn't lose by 11 points. Like, that was very rude to me.
Sorry you don't wish success on your team like I do. They've beaten the Bulls twice in the last 3 days. So that's pretty
I would
exciting.
rather be right than get what I want.
Okay. Who is winning reward next week? I will remind you, they are switching to 3 tribes, so they're probably not going to have a reward challenge. But let's say they do.
I'm going to say the third tribe wins reward.
The 3rd tribe. You
Yeah,
know what?
whatever that one is.
I'm going to say kicking a man's ass, no matter who is doing the kicking, will still be kicking men's asses, so they're going to win reward. What will the reward be, should there be one?
I'm going to say hamburgers.
Hamburgers. Stupid. It's obviously going to be tools to build a shelter.
Oh, of course.
Like, the new tribe needs to build a shelter. Tools to build a shelter is going to help you build that shelter. Do you think they didn't do tools to build a shelter last season because Sears went out of business?
Yeah, it could have something to do with that.
So they didn't have that sponsorship deal? We'll sponsor
Yeah,
the tools to build a shelter.
because Sears went out of business, which is why you're not allowed to call the tower in Chicago that anymore.
Actually, that is its legal given name, so we can.
Folks, we're bringing it back. We're gonna. People are saying Sears Tower again. We're allowed to say Sears Tower now.
I think
The war on the Sears Tower is over.
The war on the Sears Tower is over. It's time to reboot the Sears Tower.
Happy Christmas. War on Sears Tower is over.
Do they even know it's Sears Tower? Who's winning immunity?
Boy,
The 3rd tribe. Okay.
I'll say comma.
I'm saying comma also because in the preview, I did see Joe still with a yellow buff on, and it looked like he was talking about the swap. So I'm thinking he's still going to be on comma, and they're still going to win challenges. Who's getting voted out? It could be anybody at this point because we don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that can go. I'm gonna say War Dog.
I was also going to say War Dog. Okay. I think that's just wishful thinking at this point. I think it's going to be Rick.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
I could see War Dog figuring it out and putting his crosshairs on him. I don't know. Will the person voted out go to the edge of extinction?
Yes,
I'm also saying yes.
I think that it's gonna be that way for a while.
I can't
Unless
wait.
somebody gets like medically evacuated, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Oh, from the game, not
Yeah.
from the edge of extinction. Yeah, I agree. I am interested to see what happens when the other contestants find out about the island.
When would they? Is what I'm wondering. Maybe after the merge.
I think at the merge, yeah. I don't know if this was ever confirmed or if it was just a rumor, but I remember hearing that, like Redemption Island, there would be a challenge at the merge, and then the winner of that challenge joins the merge.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I remember hearing that in the preseason, so we'll see if that happens. Okay, so that's our points. On the challenge, they had to carry a bunch of tires through the desert and then stack them according to a puzzle. Bear got upset and quit in the middle of the challenge. The tribunal was Polly, Natalie, Cara, Maria, and Theo, Nani, and Turbo. They put up Jenna and Gus, Bear and Devon, and Zach and Zahida. Zach and Zahida are sent in. They choose to go up against Wes and D. Wes, who has like 13 elimination wins in his career. So Wes wins again, and also D
Crazy.
wins. Yeah,
Almost
what a
like you
surprise.
shouldn't pick them.
Yeah. Everybody who wasn't picked was like, what the fuck are you doing right now? And then they went home, of course, because that's a stupid move. Zach is bad at the challenge. He's got 1 win under his belt, but it was a battle of the season, so he had 3 teammates who carried the team. Frank Sweeney was on his team. Remember him?
No.
You would if you saw him. He was a lot. Anyway, you know what it's finally time for? It's been 25 weeks since we last did this, Thomas.
Oh man,
Do you have-
I completely forgot about this. I know what time. I know what it is.
Okay.
We got to talk about some titles.
We got to talk about our own episode titles. We pass judgment on Survivor so often on this show for bad episode titles. So who would we be to not turn the mirror on ourselves? Is that the phrase?
Self critique is important.
Self-critique is important, and that's what we're here to do today. Episode 150 was called Survivor. Almost same names. Great idea. Great season.
Great title.
Great title. Love it. Early contender. 151. Oh, also, if you're a new listener, we pick the best title of the last 25. 151, The Final Supper. I think fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was very funny in the moment.
Better bit than a title.
Yes. I also, this was when David versus Goliath was starting, so I was trying to do like a biblical theme throughout the season. So
Yeah,
you'll see a lot of those. 152, David in the streets, Goliath in the bed.
Very good.
I like that one a lot. 153, I believe that the earth is 77 years old.
Pretty good.
That's really good.
Man, weird how many of these are like good lines that I had.
You know what? It really comes in waves. You'll have like 6 in a row, and then I'll have like 6 in a row, and then we'll go back and forth. If I feel
you
like
can keep telling yourself that.
I put a lot of thought into picking the episode titles, like probably too much. So if I see either of us go on a run of like a month or more of always one of us getting the episode title, I try to avoid it in the next episode I'm editing. Okay, 154. Gonna have to have God guide me through this game like he guided the stone from David's sling.
That I believe that was you.
It's a long one, but I think it was
Oh,
also...
that might have been me, actually, now that I think about it.
I think it was the only one that was at all, like, biblical that we said.
Yeah.
So I had to go with it. 155, I know for sure was me. I will die on that hill where they grow legumes.
Yeah, that was you.
That's
That doesn't
very
sound
good.
like something I would say.
No, of course not. 156, David was kind of the original influencer. It's fine.
It's okay, yeah.
157, Red and Blues Clues.
Sure.
Remember when we kept promoting ourselves as a Blues Clues podcast for like 3 weeks?
Yeah, that was a good era. That's the thing about this podcast that you won't get from other podcasts is we keep diversifying our interests. You come in this for one thing and you're gonna get actually 20 things. So more bang for your buck that you don't give us.
Yeah, we are going to start a Patreon. Thomas, I meant to talk to you about this before we started recording. If we get some amount of money we'll decide on later in Patreon dollars, do you want to start a Patreon-only podcast where we watch Friends? Episode by episode?
Where we
a show
watch
neither
Joey.
of us like? Oh, we'll definitely end up watching Joey.
Yep.
So that's our Patreon if we ever
We
start
can't do
one.
that though because that we would be stepping on. Tom Sharpling already has a podcast where he watches Friends, a show that he doesn't like.
Oh. Well,
So the way that we get around that is we watch Joey.
we just watch the one season of Joey every
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Like, I want to see how many episodes of Joey there are. If there are 12, we can do this once a month. And,
Sure.
Here's the thing about Joey. How do you fucking Google it? Oh, you just type Joey. Oh, it's free on Crackle.
Crazy.
Should be free everywhere.
They're just giving that away, that quality content.
gold. Oh, there were 2 seasons. There were 46 episodes.
Oh my god.
I thought it was
way more than I was
after
expecting.
One season, like one.
Joey
short
is
season.
canceled.
Joey was canceled. Okay, so we'll watch Joey if anybody ever wants to give us Patreon dollars.
I don't want to start a Patreon because I would be so embarrassed by like the $0 we would be getting from it and be
Yeah.
like, wow, it was very presumptuous of us to think we could do this.
That's why I want people to email us, did you watch last night at gmail.com, and say, I'll commit to giving you $100 a month
Yep.
to talk about Joey.
Yeah, we need like 10 people to pay us $100 a month.
God, I would fucking love that. That would be great, you guys. Please do
It would
that.
it would be dumb. Like I would be.
Do you assume
I
that we
would
don't
feel,
have...
I would feel bad for anyone that suggested. for anyone that offered to do that, but I would also take your money.
I will say, if we get enough people to pitch in for $100 a month, I will commit to doing a Joey podcast for Patreon. $100 total. A month.
Yeah.
We can split that. Okay, let's get back into this episode titles. This is a real thing I really want to do, by the way.
Sure, yeah.
158, I don't love. MTV and NPR are the same. I don't love that one. 159, Cocktober is a different thing. I don't know what that was in reference to.
Yeah, well, whatever, you know.
You know, sometimes we go through lulls in episode titles, and that's okay.
Sure, yeah. I mean, just like the show Survivor, it's not always going to be good.
No, sometimes you're going to get a Worlds Apart. Sometimes you're going to get a Kagayan. Sometimes you're going to get a Millennials Gen X. Remember everybody on Millennials versus Gen X? What a great cast. It's okay that we go into lulls sometimes, because sometimes we come back with 160. You want to have a little bit of spice and some salt to your stuff. Hey, what does that mean, actually?
I don't even know.
161, this show is all about bondage. I mean, that's just straight
Pretty
up.
good. I mean, yeah, that's just a description of this podcast.
Yeah, in case you were wondering. 162, why didn't anybody dunk like Vince Carter? That's just a question that we should all be asking all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
163, mill guys aren't born, they're made.
Classic.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 164, how can you call yourself a journalist when you don't even talk about Jeff Probst?
I mean, look, it's all fake news unless it's about Jeff Probst.
Honestly.
Like, we know this.
We are feuding with Serial as
Give
the greatest
Jeff
podcast.
Probst a jet ski.
165, neither of us said this one. It was my mom. She said, he's holding a spear, he's going to throw it at the sun, as we were discussing the logo for the current season before it started.
Very
airing.
nice.
This one's very good. In the Hallmark universe, no one owns a gun. Or, no one owns guns, sorry. In the Hallmark universe, no one owns guns. I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
167, Survivor, you versus all versus everybody.
Yeah, that might be the best one.
No, it's so bad. It's definitely
that's amazing.
the best episode, the best theme we've ever done, for sure. Most on-brand theme we've ever done. Hey, if you didn't hear that episode, we cast the cast of Lost on Survivor on Brett Steele and went through.
That is the best joke that I've ever made on this podcast.
That's definitely not true. Okay. That episode was a lot of fun, but took forever to edit.
I don't care. That is the title.
I know
that
you
I'm
don't.
picking
You're not the one
for
who edits
number
it.
one. The number one title. That's the best one we did.
Okay. We've still got a few more. Survivor Heroes vs. Villains 2 was number 168. Great season.
Trash. Nowhere near as good as you versus all versus everybody.
169, The Good Stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
170, Every Tribe Will Smash a Watermelon.
Yeah, pretty good.
I like it.
I guess.
I like it. 171, Schindler's Challenge. It's pretty good.
Oh boy, yeah.
172, I Can Remember at Any Time. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
173, On Extinction Island, Someone Flies, Someone Goes Extinct.
Nah.
Okay. 174, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yep, that's a good one.
All
Another key theme of this podcast.
I just go on a rant where no one is listening, and then...
Yep.
Okay. So you think Survivor You versus All versus Everybody is the best one?
Number one, baby, with a bullet.
I believe that the Earth is 7 years old.
Pretty good.
And I Will Die on That Hill Where They Grow Legumes. But I like it more as a tweet than an episode title, I think.
Yeah, sure.
So my vote is for I believe that the Earth is 7 years old. Your vote is for
You versus all versus
You
everybody.
versus All versus Everybody. I like You versus All versus Everybody as a theme and an episode. As a title, though, and we got to look at it as the title itself. Like, if that
of course.
came up, would you be like, I'm so excited to listen to this? Or Would you laugh very hard at, I believe that the Earth is 407 years old? Just saying, one of them is definitely better than the other.
Yeah, whatever.
Are you giving me this one? We have to pick.
Yeah,
we have to
whatever.
pick the win.
I will never pick against you versus all versus everybody.
All right, fine. Survivor You versus All versus Everybody is the best episode title of this group of 25.
You're damn right.
The other winners have been from the first 25, Mr. Bloodbachev, Tear Down This Blood Wall.
Oh, classic.
Still, I think, I don't know that we're ever going to
I don't know that
one.
we'll ever beat that, yeah.
The second 25, Chase and Jason's Chase Nation. That's another classic.
Another really good one.
The third group of 25 was A Gentleman Doesn't Ask and Another Gentleman Doesn't Tell.
Yep, pretty good.
I like that. The last 25 of the first 100, Men Are Dogs, Men Are From Mars, and Mars Needs Moms.
Pretty good.
I don't remember which we picked from that four for the best of the first 100, but we'll figure it out later. 100 through 124, Survivor Have It Your World.
Yep.
That was a fucked up season, I remember.
Yeah, yep.
125 through 149 is a favorite of mine. Humans Rock.
I mean, look, I just feel like people don't give them enough credit.
It's great. They're great. They need to go to Mars. So, and now we've got another Survivor season as the best episode title of the season. If the last 25 of the first 200 is another theme, well, you know, as we said earlier, this show goes through phases, and that's good. People actually like that. So it's fine. It's fine, actually. Like, the first 100 were very funny, but didn't sound very good. The second 100, we had a lot of really good themed episodes where we played through entire seasons, and that's fun. People like that. Anyway.
You're awfully defensive about this.
I love this show. It's my favorite show. I like it better than all the shows. Survivor, and also
It's
this
true.
podcast. One of the themes that we did in this last season of ours was Heroes vs. Villains 2, which is what I want to see season 40 be. I think the tide is turning on this idea. I think people are not as invested as they once were, like 5 years ago. So
Which is bad.
We need to spread the word to Jeff Probst and his several skis that he does not use.
Get the word out.
Hashtag HV V2, little v first, big V second, HVV2. Tweet at Jeff Probst and everybody else in Survivor who's ever played. Maybe not everybody, some of them are dead.
Tweet at you versus all versus everybody that's ever played.
Yes. And tell them, we want Heroes vs. Villains 2. We will not rest until Heroes vs. Villains 2
We
premieres.
will accept no substitutes.
And then Jeff Probst will be like, well, even if it is that, it's going to be like another year. You should probably
I will kill
sleep.
myself if they don't do Heroes vs. Villains 2.
I am going on a hunger strike until Jeff Probst announces Heroes vs. Villains 2. And that's official. That's as official as our Patreon Joey podcast. So, it's on you, Jeff. My life is in your hands. So make it happen. Heroes vs. Villains 2, coming at your screens this time next year. Follow us on Twitter, DYWSLN. Me is at Jake Scheidel.
At Tom Not Tom.
We've done this 175 times.
Well, you know, whatever. They all know. They all know what my ad is.
You already know. You ought to know.
You
Alanis
yeah.
Morissette or the wrestler from the
would they go down on you in a theater? That's what we all want to know.
I think that going down on somebody in a theater is very Dave cool. Yay! That was a bad joke. I'm so sorry. You can review us on Apple Podcast.
Yeah. Do you want me to give the boilerplate review?
Give us the boilerplate review.
Okay.
Thomas.
5 stars only. And just make sure that you say.
Only say.
Yeah. This is my favorite podcast. I like it better than all of the other podcasts. I give it a big thumbs up. It's better than podcast.
Nope, that last part is not part of it, actually.
That's actually a very important part of it.
It's actually the least important, so unimportant that you don't need to write that part at all. And I don't know how
I think you
I
do
don't know
need to
how they're
write
gonna.
that part.
I don't know how they're gonna write that because there's definitely a bleep in there. Are they just gonna write bleep in the?
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
it'll be.
Don't do that.
It'll be. I like it better than Redacted's podcast.
All right. Have a great summer.
Deuces.
Making a distinction between life and law. Odds favor the former when you wear a mask. Masochism forming in the reflection, and I'm trying not to turn into a psychopath. Better to have lost it than to find it tossed out. That's what I'm telling myself. Wasn't I better than nothing? Making a decision about steamed or fried. Wanted to be needed, so I fed my cat. Think I'll keep to myself for the next few days. Feel a buzz that can be bottled, smoked or canned. Sabotaging life just to find something to write about. Why was it always this way? Did I do it on purpose? Waking from a vision that the schizoid built. Listening to puddles swallow melted snow. Spring has sprung and finally it's not cold outside. And I'm thinking about the places that I wanna go. Passion dissipates when it's fastened through the faces we wear, only to become them. Lying to ourselves.
Here's the problem. Sometimes we're getting into good bits, and then we hit record, and then it's like, all right. So where were we in this bit?
Time to get down to business. I forgot how to be funny.
Time to get down to bitness.
Well, we're already off to a terrible start.